Okay, YouTube, we back live. We tackling these technical difficulties. And as I said, I got the big homie with me, man. He gonna take over. Because as I ended with the Hoovers coming back on the second day, 20 cars deep, man, at night, yelling Playboys, come out and play like the Warriors, man. No shooting. The Hoovers just wanted that fade, man. And then what ended up happening, Big Jeff?
Well, we all got together and explained the situation. And like you said, you got into the Pinto and got all the homies, you know. But we went on Sherrington way because redneck. Excuse my voice on me.
You gotta get you some
My head
molasses
is what it
teas.
called. Redneck, which ended up being one of my best friends. Um, his auntie lived over there. That's why they was over there. They came over there to visit his auntie, and that's when they seen Don Juan and all those things that happened after that. But when they called us out, we came over there. You and I, like niggas say, you know where you at.
Yeah.
And they lost that fight that day. So we all showed up. Even the OGs that was before PPG. Mac Man, all them, Big Wheel, all them came. You know, we came out all the cuts because we had cuts in the neighborhood. You can just come out. You can come through any street going through the cuts, and we met them right there on Tarrant, and we was trying to talk to him. Ping from Grape Street was trying to talk to him, 'cause Ping was more experienced. He was from Grape Street, so he was like, "Man, we all Crips, man. We all tripping, you know." But they didn't have no understanding. They wasn't trying to hear what he had to say. And then one of the Hoovers tried to jump in the car and get a weapon, I guess. And Tracy Jackson hit that nigga in the chest with a piece of wood and knocked the brains out of his ass. And we start fighting, man. You know, that's what we do.
Yeah. And then it was
Cause
go ahead.
yeah, cause we was a tribe. We wasn't really a gang. We was a gang, but we was family. All of us grew up together, so they couldn't deal with that. Everybody showed up, man. Everybody showed up.
So
You ain't finna come over here.
without getting, because we talked, and it was some other like isolated incidents that happened,
Hmm.
right? Where it was like a fair one here, a fair one there. Uh, then I remember that the homies had a football game with the Hoovers. You remember that? You there? We lost Jesse again, y'all. Yeah, you back now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. So, without getting into the mud with it, it was a couple of skirmishes. It was some isolated skirmishes, right?
Yeah, that's all it was. It was a skirmish.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't no. It wasn't no war. It was a skirmish. Yeah.
yeah. And then I remember I missed it, but the homies one day had a football game with the Hoovers, right? To kill all the differences,
Mhm.
right? Is that how it
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, so then we end up settling our differences and being good. I know throughout the years, man, you and Ratneck been, rest in peace, man, was super tight. You called me when he
Yeah,
transitioned.
Redneck lived with me for a whole year.
Yeah,
hmm
yeah,
You know, Shirley Mack's mama, I can go out there right now and stay with the mama.
right,
She called me her other son.
right. That stuff. Yeah, that bond, man. They was there uh where we had to bury Insane, man.
Yeah,
Ratneck, his brother, uh my
Billy.
my partner Hoover Head, man, from Salo was there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Head, Pee Wee,
yeah. They was
all
there,
them.
man.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, that's the last time I seen them. Uh, but I wanted to cover that, and I know we got to be, clean with that, cause that was an allegiance, man. That wasn't any of like a big deal. But what happened was, so I was telling the story. Now we gonna just get out of the Hoover situation. If any of the homies may wanna drop in a particular, that's why I linked a Facebook page to where I'm gonna have it to where we stream on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. And if they got comments, they can drop in the YouTube, I mean in the Facebook in real time. You know what I mean? They can do it in real time here, but they don't be on, man. We got, let me see, let me see, I don't know, a couple of hidden viewers, man. Anyway, so we we go from that to this day. I told you, me and Scooby and Lil Bob was sitting in the alley behind No's building, and the homie hit the corner. One of our homies, you know who he is. I don't want to say his name. Had the P hat on. When y'all remember the homies used to wear the pirate, the Pittsburgh hats. Remember that?
Yeah.
He had on the Pittsburgh hat, and he hit the corner asking. He might have been asking us, as I reflect, where Kenny Raymond was at, and we was like, maybe we don't know. But when he was standing there talking to us, Marcus was coming down the same cut, right? And when he got to
Mhm.
that back of that alley where we was at, the homie asked him, he hit him up like, what you doing down here, man? You ain't got no business on corning like that. And Marcus slapped his P hat off and was like, nigga, it's my hood. I go wherever I want to go. And when that happened, it kind of exposed our immaturity. Because as a seasoned gang member, you know what the response for that is immediately, right? But we didn't have that immediate response, you know? So what we ended up doing, Kenny came up the corner. Kenny hit the block from the alley from Cadillac and Corner. He was coming up the street, up the alley, I mean. And when he got there, he seen kind of the situation, and the homie told him what happened. He's like, this nigga came over here. I lost you again, man. Okay, there you go. Let me get you back. Can you hear me?
No.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, but Kenny hit that corner, man, on the C Street alley by Cadillac, and came up the street, and the homie told him what happened, and Kenny was like, what did you do? We losing Jesse a lot tonight.
Oh.
I got you. You there?
Mhm.
Okay. So anyway, Kenny told either me or Scooby to get that gauge. Remember, we used to have that gauge hidden in that little compartment behind the building.
Yeah.
So we
I
got the
remember
gauge, gave it to Kenny, and Kenny was like, come on. When we was about to leave and go up to Bedford, Pee Wee rode his bike. He had that little 10-speed. He rode the 10-speed into Corner Alley, and he was like, what y'all niggas up to? And I think Scooby told him, we finna go deal with Whoopty Whoop. And he asked Kenny, He was like, man, can I go with y'all? And Kenny was like, yeah, come on, let's go. You know what I mean? So he went with us that day. We went to first handle the main confrontation with the Bedford boys. Pee Wee went with us on his 10th speed.
Mm-hmm.
He went with us. And then so when we made it up to Bedford, we came through Jake Doug's building. Came through that cut. And we walked
Mm-hmm.
out on Bedford. And Kenny gave the gauge to the homie who got the pea hat slapped off. And Marcus was across the street with EK. Kenny gave him the gauge and said, man, bust on that fool.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't bust.
No.
He didn't bust. But that started BJ. You remember BJ, how he was. He ran over there talking about, man, y'all gonna come over here and pull out guns and confront us with this Hoover dude. And Pee Wee was like, nigga, we can get down. And Kenny was like, yeah, if you got something to say to him, you can get down in the middle of the street. So they went into the middle of the street and started bumping. And that set everything off right there. Right?
Yeah.
Woodstone was in the middle of the street, and Lil Bob, man, you know how Lil Bob was, man. How big
Mm-hmm.
Woodstone was, man. What Woodstone at the time, but Woodstone was walking down the middle of Bedford, and Lil Bob rode his bike up to the front of Woodstone, jumped off his bike and fired on Woodstone, and started walking back, and Woodstone started coming towards him. So Kenny was over there in front of his building fighting somebody, but he ran over there where we was at with Woodstone, and he took that punch. He put that punch on him with that knuckle in the middle of the fist, man, and fired on him in the center of his chest, man. And the homie Marcus started grabbing his chest, and me and Scooby took off on him. That was so it was like 4 fights happening right there on Bedford,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't end up being no busting. I don't know what Kenny did with the shotgun, right? So then you said that it was the same night that you led a crew of homies up there, like on a mop up job. What you want to take over right there?
Yeah. Because I wasn't there when it happened, and when I pulled up, I lived in the Green, so I was right down the street. So when I pulled up, they told me what happened,
Yeah,
and so I got on a dirt bike. It was a dirt
I
bike,
remember that.
and I rode down there. And I'm an original Bedford boy, so
Right.
they welcomed me and all that, and it was cool. But I was like, "Y'all gonna be right here?" And they was like, "Yeah, we're gonna be right here." And so I came back and told the homies, "Them niggas is right there. Let's
Yeah.
go up there right now." And so we went up there and we kicked their ass.
See that day, that was the game changer for us, the Bedford boys,
Hmm.
and that really was our last real inner turf struggle. Because
Yeah,
when the Bedford boys went down to the Playboy Gangsters, that was the announcement that,
yeah, 'cause they was strong. Bedford was
yeah,
strong,
yeah, yeah, homies don't
but they
understand.
couldn't see us. They couldn't see us though. You know, I remember one time we was at Shenandoah. We used to play basketball at Shenandoah
Yeah,
because the rims was
yeah,
lower,
yeah,
so we could slam dunk and all that.
yeah,
And then they had this nigga. His name was Andre Moody, and he fouled Boxer hard, and he kept fouling Boxer. And I was like, yeah, I wish a nigga would do that to me. So he fouled me hard. And I was like, okay, all right. And this dude way older than us.
right,
So I went to the hood and told him. And it was another OG homie named Archie. I don't know if you remember Archie.
no,
And he told him, he said, man, you need to leave, because when that nigga come back, he gonna come back with 1,000 little niggas.
Yeah,
And we came back.
he's still there.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So, it was just an old nigga picking on a little kid, man. That's all that was. But I got some little kid stuff for you,
Yeah, I
though.
remember that going up to Shenandoah, Duncan, and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. But
we
yeah,
used to
that
hop
was
the gate.
that was gonna be in the hood, man. That is, you could really call that the day that we seized power in the hood, man.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, and even after that, we still. That's why I was saying what I said. We still have Fred and Bo coming down. You know, coming down C Street Alley. I couldn't get into it with Fred and Bo, man. Some of the homies didn't care. I'm like, man, we go too far back, man. I can't do that. Man, sometimes on the sneak tip, I see Fred leaving the mall and I drive over there and get him in my car. Like, come on, man, get in the car, homie.
Yeah.
He be like, AJ, I ain't worried about you niggas, man. I know you ain't worried about me, man. Just get in the car, though.
Hmm.
And I take him up to Bedford, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
drop him
Fred
off.
was on the low key blood stuff though, so
Yeah.
poverty and all
Yeah, low key, man.
that. Hmm.
I never really see him bang blood. I never saw that.
He didn't bang it, but he was influenced by it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that was the day, man. For those of y'all out there in the land who don't really know, man, that our that was I'm gonna say that was the end of '79.
Hmm.
That was about the end of '79 when we finally actually seized the power without any real inner strife is, you know what I mean, any strife, excuse me, any strife within, the set. That was the day that changed that. And then I
Hmm.
always thought about Jeffrey Drills had already left by then.
Yeah, he went. Yeah, Jeff changed his life, man. He went to college and all that.
Yeah, yeah. Cause
Cause they
was
mama was strong. I knew they mama, and all of them did good. Cause they mama was strong. So,
yeah, I remember Barry flipped the Pinto. I had mine first, but Barry Drills ended up with a Pinto. Then Artie ended up with a Pinto. So I
Artie,
think,
that's my dude, man.
yeah, yeah, Artie,
Artie,
man.
that's my dude right
Yeah,
there.
Artie, man. Artie, man. Just a homie, you know what I mean?
He been on the run for like 30 years. he
Yeah,
he been all over the country, Australia and all that. Cause he do that deep sea diving stuff, that welding, the
yeah.
deep sea. So wherever he go, he gonna have a job. You know.
That was in CRC with Artie, man.
Hmm.
I think I got a picture. Somebody got my pictures, man. I'm sure I got a picture of me and Artie, man. You
Yeah.
know,
He was
cause
wrongfully convicted.
yeah, he had to stand in there, man. They had some. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get big homie.
he got convicted for killing Slim from 60s on Corning, but he didn't do that. I
Right,
know who did that.
right.
I'm not gonna speak on that, but
No,
yeah,
that's a clear case. Like the shooter got arrested and got time too.
no, the shooter never got caught for that.
Okay. Close the case. Close the case. Close the case. We gotta close that case, man. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
they had some real struggles, man, behind that. That's a whole nother page and a whole nother story, man. So I'm
yes,
getting
sir.
ahead. I just wanted to wrap up. I know you ain't in for that much tonight, man, because the next thing I want to get is gonna be what happened when let me make a couple of little corrections here first. On this little video that you see down here, I forgot to mention that the homie Bosco from Marvin is in that video. And Bent
I
Nose
do.
is back there in the video too. It's a
Yeah,
couple of other
I
homies I
do
can't
too.
see. Yep, Booby from Hoover
Hmm.
is in there too. Um, and then I had another correction. I can't think of what it was right now.
Well, I hate to be partial, but I love them that love me. Bosco, Nose, and all them being saying all them, they love me to the fullest. So I love them, 'cause me and you got that in common. We have a lot of love to give.
Right, right,
And you ain't nothing if you don't love nobody. I don't care if you're a preacher or whoever you are. If you don't love nobody, then you not doing what God loves, 'cause God is love.
right.
So,
No, real talk. That's
so
when we all was what I said when we was working on building a security company for the music industry.
hmm
And the
I
homies was
remember
there. They remember like when we did the opening for Snoop Dogg and we was on the Chronic tour and all of that. Um,
that.
we was there, man. We were actually in the door to get
Yeah, I
those things
remember
done. Yeah. And I want to now like maybe we won't start tonight on it, but I'm going to mention it because two things happen next that would kind of change what we was into. You know what I mean? It
that.
was just a few fights here and there up to this point. You know, we would have our skirmishes, man. But after this took place in the hood, man, it was two things, and one of them involved the Venice show lines, and another one involved the schoolyards. And without making a
What happened? What happened with schoolyard? With been the shoreline. The first thing was the Lido Theater.
yeah, no, that was pre PBG though.
Yeah, but
But
they still,
they held
we
it
weren't
against us.
PBG, but we was them dudes over there.
Yeah,
You know, so mhm.
yeah, but
When we
after that,
started
man,
PBG, oh yeah, when we started PBG, it was on. Cause
yeah,
we was like anybody can get it.
yeah.
That's just how I was. I mean, come on, man.
I mean,
You
we was
already
having
know.
fight. We was even after the Lido and even after we turned PBG. You remember that was that one time. I don't even. You could talk about that too, man. That's before PBG too. When they came up the Fifth. Remember they was the Fifth Avenue Dancers,
Mhm.
and they came up to Pasture,
Mhm.
and a fight jumped off in Pasture, and they got chased all over the hood. Remember that?
Mhm.
I wasn't at Pasture, but when they came into the hood, we kind of intercepted them and was fighting with them, but it wasn't a PBG thing.
No.
Might have been some
But they
Playboy
came
Dancer
to
stuff.
they came to a party on Cadillac.
See, I was gonna go there.
Yeah, yeah, we got into it that night.
Yeah,
That was basically because of me, because they was on there talking about Venezuela. I took off on me, so you know.
yeah,
But I ain't gonna lie, homie. It's some niggas from Venice that I got love for, like Heavy Chevy, Heavy Chevy, rest in peace.
mm-hmm.
Speed, Bunny Miles, all them dudes, man.
Yeah,
It's different when you go to the pen, man.
yeah,
It's different.
yeah. Shout to Big Bulldog.
Hmm.
Yeah, T Bone. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
some dudes, man. That yeah, man. I used to record it. The homie had the recording studio. He bought the recording studio from Earth, Wind and Fire.
Hmm.
And we met up one day, and I had to tell the homie who was with me, like, man, stand down. Not him. He ain't in that. He was getting his bread, man.
Yeah,
He wasn't in this thing.
when I was in AC, um, we was talking about cutting out the bars and hitting the Mexican and all that. And this dude had life. He was like, man, I ain't really with that. So I only was looking at him sideways like they finna do something to him. And I was like, nah, man, leave that dude alone, man. He just being honest.
Right.
And if you force somebody, they might tell on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I stuck up for him. He was gonna be in the show line though, but that's supposed to be our enemy. But I stuck up for him, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure he appreciate from this day. So I didn't do it because of that. I'm just saying I'm with right, man. I'm not with wrong. So.
Right. But yeah, in the early stages, man, that one party got shot up. I don't know if there were any victims. I know that party got shot up. Uh,
What party?
the party on Cadillac down there off of Garth.
Oh yeah, that one.
You
Yeah,
remember that?
yeah, yeah. That's the party I was talking about
Yeah,
before.
yeah. It got shot
Yeah,
up, but I don't know if there was anybody who got shot. Like I know the party got shot up. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So because I don't
yeah.
remember there being, I know it wasn't no casualties or nothing in it, man.
We got out first. We was fighting first, and then the homie blasted all it up. I mean, they
Yeah,
in our hood.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I think later on, that was kind of what caused them to form that allegiance with the schoolyards because they had a little vitriol, a little animosity towards us for the early things that had taken place between us that really wasn't that serious, you know?
I think it was more like the allegiance with them is because of Royce. Because Royce grew up on Schoolyard, but then he moved to Venice.
Yeah,
And and I think that's where the allegiance went to. Because he didn't like us.
yeah, yeah.
And I respect him to the fullest. That's my dude, man. But
Wasn't
at this,
Royce related to Ducci and on them and Dutrail and all
nah,
them?
nah,
No.
his brother was Dude Trail, yeah. Yeah.
So Royce
And
and
Glenn
Dutrail was
Bowell,
brothers.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then Glenn Bowell, all
Okay.
them.
Okay.
They was schoolyard.
Oh, I didn't know that for
Well,
sure.
well, they was Bible Chris. Let's put it
Oh,
that way.
okay. I got you. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't
Royce
wanna.
was the gay.
I don't wanna get to that because when we get into that, man, maybe next weekend you want to
Mm-hmm.
save that piece of the steak for next weekend, man, because that became a war.
We can't eat no steak because I
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
can't.
metaphorically, right? It's a metaphoric steak, homie.
I'm,
You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
working on it.
Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying?
That's why I made the beans like you, cause
Yeah,
that's
man.
soft. You know
Yeah, man.
what I'm
And then you can blend them joints
saying?
too, man. Blend them, they even
Yeah, you can
easier to
blend 'em.
consume.
Yeah, I'm trying to get on them navy beans like you said.
Yeah, man, them small white
Yeah,
navies ain't no joke, man. I'm
yes
telling you,
sir.
most
Yeah,
minerally rich food on the planet.
yeah. I think I probably will enjoy them. I can't even remember eating those navy beans, I had the Great Northern. I grew up on the Great Northern beans.
Yeah,
But I want to try it ever since you mentioned it. I want to try it.
yeah, man.
Cause good health is important, man.
Yeah.
Mm. So,
And you know what, man? And I guess it's okay to break off on a tangent because that was one of my videos. I was talking about what are we doing to check on each other's health now that we over 60, and are we rolling up
Yeah.
on the homies like, hey man, are you getting all of your lab work done? What are your numbers?
Mhm.
What are some of your health challenges? Some of the herbal
Mhm.
remedies, the holistic medicines that are out there, man, to help you heal and things like that, man. Those are real conversations we need to be having, man.
Yeah, I was just talking to the homeboys from VNG Blood,
Yeah,
and we talked for a while, and he just get out. He just did 23 years, and I was like, and he's like, "How long you been out?" I said, "1991, bro." I'm gonna tell you how to stay out.
right. You
He
talking
talking
about
about
snap?
making money. Yeah, Snap.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's who it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna tell you how to stay out, man. That's
yeah,
what I'm on.
yeah,
I ain't all nobody caught into no web on me or still trying to gang bang and all that. Especially if you old.
right.
If you old and you gang banging, that's an embarrassment to us.
Yeah,
'Cause that means you don't know what else to do.
yeah.
But you supposed to be an OG though.
Yeah, I don't know if you looked at that video I did because I asked a question, and I don't know if you want to weigh in on this question, but I wanted to know what was the real qualification to be a leader in the Crips, because a lot of times you just hear, yeah, dude has squabble, dude could fight. So I use the analogy of what's my man name, man? Holyfield. I use the analogy of Evander Holyfield, man. As good as he could fight, man, would you use him to lead your life? Like, would you allow him to be the leader over, the decisions that you have to make and how you're going to live your life? Or is he set to the limit of just being a good fighter? And does that qualify him?
Well, the thing is, uh, he beat Tyson, but I respect Tyson more
Right,
because Tyson studied the game.
right,
Ali ain't never said nothing about Holyfield, but he had a lot to say about Tyson.
and I'm saying, with all them hand skills, right?
Hmm.
Is that a qualifier for you to lead the
No,
Crips?
no,
Okay,
it's not.
okay. I didn't think so.
To be a leader, you have to be born. You can't learn that. It has to be born. The stuff I did, I didn't know what I was doing. You grew up with me. You knew
Yeah,
I wasn't educated. I didn't read no books. It was just natural because I was born with that gift.
right,
It was a gift.
right.
Malcolm, Martin, Kennedy, Elijah, they were born. I mean, the perfect example was Jesus Christ. He was born. He didn't go to school to learn how to do that. They were just born.
Yeah. Yeah,
You don't even know
6-year-old
what you're
boy
doing.
sitting with the wise counsel is a unique 6-year-old.
Come on, man. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
that is unique. It does have to be.
Who
And then
is?
how do we
Who?
identify the trait? Like, how do we know what gives us? Because I've seen, and the reason I'm saying that is because I've seen a lot of misleading in the Crip Car. I've seen it.
Well, yeah, because they wasn't born. They they're not true leaders. So you can study leadership. You can be taught. You can be around leadership, and some of that it is kind of powerful. But when you're born, that supersedes everything
Born
because you
what?
don't even know what you're doing. You're just doing what's natural to you, and what's natural to you is how you was born.
I get
Did
that.
I know what I was doing when I was 17, 16, 18, all that since she knew me? No, I didn't. I was just reacting to what that was given to me natural.
Yeah, but if I had to compare some of your reactions to your contemporaries, I would definitely put you above them. It was a different thing happening, man. It really was, man, in
Yeah,
our
but
space.
it's not. I can't take the credit for that.
Right, I
I
got
give
you.
God the glory for that.
Right.
So I was using it in the wrong way at first, but I didn't know, man. I didn't know. I wasn't even, I flunked out of high school. It wasn't like I was educated or anything.
Right.
It's just that I had that gift.
Right. Yeah.
Now I'm finna go eat these red beans and rice,
Yes, sir. Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir, man. So let's try to do Saturday, man, if we can, man.
Yeah, it's good. I'm off Saturday,
Okay,
so
so we're gonna try to
that'll
hook
be
up
a good day.
Saturday. I'm gonna put a few fillers
Yeah.
in between throughout the week, man. So there you
All right.
have it. Facebook, it's the big homie signing off. I'm gonna close this out, man. Love you, big homie.
I love you, bro.
All right.
For sure.
All right. So there you have it, man. We were going to kind of first we was gonna deep dive into it, but to deep dive into it is kind of messy, right? And when you have gone through something uh, of a sensitive nature like that, right? You know, you got to make sure the ends justify the means when you're talking about it, right? There's no equity in the mud in that conversation, so we ruled it out. And let's just summarize, man. We ended up on this side of it, as allies. And it was beautiful, man. It was beautiful. I remember it like it was yesterday, man. Hoovers came and bumped on our side. Like, let's go get them together, right? Um, and as I said, that led up to the closing out of the main issue, biggest issue for the Playboy gangsters, which was the Bedford boys, right? And the brother we talking about, Fred, man, he transitioned a few years back, man. I talked to him. He was a childhood friend, man. So as I said, it was always a hard pill to swallow, but eventually he came in, went to prison, and represented the set, man, because he knew that's where he was from. And where the old guard ultimately succumbed to the new guard, and that was us. So with that being said, man, I don't want to go any further. I want to remind everybody, man, that we're winners. We're on a 1,000-mile journey that begins with one step. Each step takes us closer to our success. But you got to get that first step in, right? It's a journey, man. It's life, right? You have to understand the need for us to unite. Our unity is like a superpower. But we got to get organized within our own collectives, right? We have to, man. And then stop trying to do it by yourself. Unite with those who are like minded, who share your interests, who are resourced, right? There's a person that has gone through what you're trying to get through. And if you listen, even if they fail, there's a lesson in failure, right? Sean Boy, Fat Rat Evolve, original West Side Playboy.